Hey yo, what's good everybody? It's your boy Matthew Maley for MatthewMaley.com. Well, I am back on the couch with another weekly movie review and have one that I actually was pretty excited about this week. After back-to-back weeks of action, we went back on the comedy train and actually was a flick that I really was wanting to see when it first came out. Um, Heard some kind of hit or miss reviews for it, so I ended up skipping it. Kind of one that just got lost in the shuffle, but I am glad I saw it. Speaking of Wanderlust, which stars Paul Rudd, Jennifer Aniston, Alda. Let me get the other couple names here. Justin Theroux and Malin Ackerman, as well as kind of an extended cameo from is it Jordan Keegan, or from Key and Peele, Jordan Peele and something Keegan, the two comedians on that have a show called Key and Peele on Comedy Central, which is actually pretty funny. Kind of follows the same symmetry, if you will, of the Chappelle Show in a lot of push the envelope style skits, little shorts. It's actually a pretty funny show, so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely check it out. Jordan is actually in it a lot more. Keegan's not at all, and I actually thought they were vice versa. So, learn something new every day. But basic storyline. Also, it's produced by Judd Apatow, so you kind of expect it's going to be pretty funny and in the line of pure raunchy comedy. Well, basic storyline is Paul Rudd, Jennifer Aniston are the stereotypical New York couple. Um, Pretty much living paycheck to paycheck, even though they both have great jobs. Well, the one has a great job. The other one kind of bounces around between a lot of different jobs. Um, right now is settled on doing a pretty much like a March of the Penguins, focusing on specifically on a penguin that has testicular cancer. Yeah, I'll let you wait and actually see the movie. Um, they end up paying some exorbitant amount for their teeny little loft that is so small. It's one room and even has to have a pull down bed. Though it does look kind of cool. It's kind of a tight spot I'd like to live in. If it was in top of the Aria overlooking the Bellagio fountains. Now you guys know my dream house, just a little bit bigger than that. Gotta have a room for my shoes. Um, but so in a series of unfortunate events, they end up um, having to not only sell their place in New York, but move down to Georgia to not only move in with Paul Rudd's brother, who is the quintessential asshole in the history of film. I mean, he's obvious that he's going overboard being an asshole, and so a lot of times when somebody goes so overboard with it, you kind of are like, okay, this is corny. He goes so overboard with his overboard portrayal of being an asshole that you just dislike him that much more. But his brother runs a sanitation company, and he offered to give Paul Rudd a job. Well, on the way down there, after driving straight from New York, which has some pretty funny scenes in it through that little montage, they are looking for a bed and breakfast, stumble upon essentially a community, essentially a little commune, if you will, through some miscommunication as to the potential chainsaw murderer of ability of somebody. I'll let that be seen as well. They end up having to stay the night there, and in this night, they both are pretty taken aback by what they're seeing, but they also have an amazingly great time, and it really refreshes them, and it kind of lets them break free of the New York monotony and kind of forget their poor troubles and just do it, just take a night and just let loose. So after they decide to go to his brother's place, some more issues there, they say, you know what, we're going to go back to this commune and let's check it out and see what happens. And they give themselves a 2 week limit and say after 2 weeks we'll reevaluate it. And going into it, one of the partners is very excited, but the other one is dreading it. And pretty ironically, it flip flops. Not ironic, I mean, you kind of see it coming, but it flip-flops to now the other partner really wants it, and the original one who wanted it can't stand it, wants to get out of there, in a millisecond, wants to move back to New York, do anything that they can. So really the bones of the movie, the meat of it, if you will, the meat and bones, is showing how both Jennifer Aniston and Paul Rudd start to fall into this community a little bit more and start to experience the things that they experience. And it really, there was some funny moments in it. There were definitely a few things that had me cracking up. I will say when it first started, it was obviously it was going to be more of a rom-com than the standard Apatow film, even Apatow type. Superbad, 40-year-old virgin, even Wedding Crashers to an extent, Hangover were much more just straight comedies. Had some rom-com undertones, but straight comedies. Whereas this started off with way more rom-com undertones, but actually went to more of a straight comedy, more like middle of the way through. And they do a good job of balancing, giving you enough info about each of the other people in this community, but not too much to where it makes things bog down and feel just like, I just said bog down. You can tell it's almost 6 o'clock in the morning. Come on. Bog down, derp. So it really, I thought there was a good marriage of that, and each one of the people in the community, not each one, but most of them had their own little personality tweaks, like the nudist who not only is an author but also makes wine. You have the older lady who's just crazy, just straight up nuts. Alda, who's pretty funny in his bound wheelchair. He actually was the original person who bought the house way back in the day with his 9 friends, and thanks to some brain damage through acid, always lists his 9 friends. Then Justin Theroux plays their leader, who is amazing at everything and a total asshole without being an asshole, I guess you could say. Different type of asshole. But there are definitely some funny moments. One thing I really like, well, first of all, let me say this, kind of a disclaimer. There's a lot of nudity, especially male nudity in this. Like, dongs plenty. So keep that in mind whenever, if you're planning on seeing this with kids, family, whatever, lots of dongs. In fact, there's a scene with, I think, like 10 old people parts, male and female, like 65 obese plus. Ugh. But it was a hilarious scene. But the one thing that I think was the funniest part to me and what I really liked, even though Paul Rudd was essentially just playing the same character that he did in I Love You Man, which is kind of one of his 2 characters that he has, even though I wasn't really that impressed with his acting, one thing I loved was how they wrote the script. I'm pretty sure, I'd love to speak to somebody that was working on this movie, but I'm pretty sure that a very large part of the movie was done exclusively in ad-lib. Because there's a scene where he's standing in front of a mirror trying to psych himself up, and it is seriously hilarious. And it really feels like they just put the camera on him and they gave him like 3 lines, and they essentially turned what could have just been 3 lines into like a 3 or 4 minute scene. And to me, it was hilarious. Because I could see it playing out, and possibly because I've done something similar to it, but like how it played out just seemed so realistic, and it really seemed like that was just Paul Rudd's doing. Whereas another scene, that's what I liked. A lot of the scenes, I felt like they almost filmed them too long. You almost felt like the scene should have cut, but it continued going, which made it that much more funny. There's another scene between Malin Ackerman and Paul Rudd, and she asks him a question, and he does not know how to respond, and rather than just conveying that by he does that, and then for literally like probably 45 seconds. Like there's 45 seconds of silence in the middle of this movie. And it was how it was played out was so damn funny. Like it was hilarious. Plus there's a really funny tripping scene where everybody drinks this tea, which essentially is like acid. Um, and they wildin' out. Oh my god! Like I will say, I want to find some of that tea. It looked like a fun time. It looked like a fun time. Looked rather crazy. Kind of the thing that scares me about all hallucinogens, I guess. But it looked pretty fun. Um, but there really were some funny moments in it. Overall, I think it actually was a pretty well done movie. Um, I didn't love it per se, but I'm definitely happy I saw it. I could see myself watching at least parts of it again. I don't think I would actually watch the whole movie again, but I definitely could see myself watching, if it's on TV, hey, a quarter, three, or two-thirds of the way through, I'll watch the last third. Something like that. So, overall, rating time. I'm going to give it 4 stars. 4 out of 5. As you guys know, that to me is a good movie. Um, I can't say that I, loved it, but it was definitely worth the money checking it out, or rental, even though it's still sitting in my car like 3 days late. Man, sucks. Living here, there's not a Blockbuster Express close by. The Red Box, close by. Blockbuster Express, like 3 or 4 miles away. Kind of sucks sometimes. Some days when you just don't want to get out of bed. But overall, 4-star movie. I definitely think it was worth checking out. To me, it was pretty funny, even though both Paul Rudd and Jennifer Aniston are somewhat predictable. And I think because I was so impressed by Jennifer Aniston after Horrible Bosses, I don't know. I don't think she could ever live up to that. I think it's unfair to compare her to that, but she was so awesome in that. I might have to go rewatch that movie again. That movie was so well done. But anyway, at the end of the day, definitely worth checking out, in my opinion. Thought it was well done. It was definitely different than what I was expecting it to be. But it still was funny. It had very well done dialogue, and just keep if you're gonna watch it, pay attention to it because you'll miss a lot of the dialogue if you don't. If it's just a movie that you're having on in the background, you won't pick up on a lot of the things. But if you actually sit and listen, in depth to the dialogue, I think you'll find it funny. At least I did. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully you guys like it. So on that note, I am signing off. I am Matthew Maley. This is MatthewMaley.com, and that is another weekly movie review with yours truly. This week reviewing Wanderlust, giving it 4 out of 5 stars. So it is definitely a good movie, and in my opinion, worth checking out. So I will say it was probably a 3. It was a 3.5-star movie, except for probably those 2 scenes I was talking about, or those 3 scenes I was talking about, and those took it to be a 4-star movie, in my opinion. So next week, if all goes well, I'm going to be reviewing the new Will Ferrell movie, Casa de mi Padre, where it's all done in Spanish. A little teaser for that. I was really excited to see it. I don't know why. It was another one that got really hot or cold reviews. Either everybody thought it was 4 stars, or everybody thought it was like a star. So we will find out next week. But until that time, thank you guys for checking out my videos, as always. Of course, you can check out the rest of my flicks directly on MatthewMaley.com. You've got everything in the current video blog tab, which is all of 2012, as well as my previous video blog tab, which is everything from 2010 and 2011. You can also check me out directly on YouTube. Search for Matthew Maley Poker, where you can like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, so you can be first to know about all my new videos. You can also like my page on Facebook. Search for Matthew Maley Poker. I post all my videos on there. I also post all of my newest, bigger updates about poker, about life, all kinds of stuff. And then finally, you can follow me on Twitter, where I am at Matthew Maley, and I live my life on there by 140 characters at a time, so can't get a whole lot, but I'm always posting up on there too. So, till the next video, I hope everybody has a great weekend, and peace out, y'all.